Welcome to Therapist Spotlight.
Hello everybody and welcome to Anta's Therapist Spotlight, the podcast where we aim to showcase our wonderful members to the wider community. I'm your host Joshua Brooks, and tonight we're joined by the wonderful Larissa Gilroy. Larissa is a naturopath who specialises in women's health and hormones, but has also got a keen interest in the general population and general health. So I'm sure this is going to be a wonderful conversation. Larissa, how are you tonight?
Good, thanks, Josh. Thanks for inviting me tonight.
So, first question as always, what got you into natural health?
Well, look, I've always been interested in health and suffered from sort of a lot of gut issues as a child. And then once I had my children in my 20s, I found that I just wasn't getting the answers I wanted from going to see the doctor. And I stumbled across a herbalist when I lived in Canberra, and I sort of haven't looked back since. And it's sort of, I'd go and see her, and it really inspired me to think about going down that track myself. So, it was probably about 25 years ago, and started on that journey, to natural medicine.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, there is a question that I seem to ask every naturopath.
Yeah.
Are you a herbal naturopath, or are you more of a what's your favorite herb?
Probably passion flower.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Yeah. I think everyone can benefit from taking passion flower, and it's such a beautiful herb, and it's a very safe herb. Lots of research that's being done on it, and so I think passion flowers are a pretty great herb.
Yeah, wonderful. And I mean, the fruit's great as well, so that's
an
added bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a very beautiful flower too, so you can't really go wrong, can you?
Do you like the flower essences as well?
I do, yes. I use the Australian bush flower essences, and often, complement them with herbal formulas that I make up for my patients or my clients. And I really find that can, it can really help to improve the treatment, because it's acting on that sort of energetic level. And people often find that they get really good results when they, when I incorporate flower essences into their treatment plan as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite treatments, actually. I absolutely love them. I've had such wonderful experiences on them.
Yeah, and great with everyone, like children and older people and people who are very sensitive. Often, you might find that when you start treating people that herbs might be a bit strong for them, but you can use flower essences with everybody, and they all sort of can tolerate them and find that they give them some benefit. And you can use them, you can put them into your drink bottle or use them as a room spray. They're very versatile and really lovely to use.
So in terms of a client that comes to you, what's a consultation look like? Like, how do you assess them? What do you like to do? Are you very big on functional medicine testing, that sort of stuff? Or do you prefer more than traditional naturopic, hair, nail analysis, iridology? Yeah. What's sort of your brand of naturopathy?
I do like to look at the testing. I love to look at blood testing, and I think even the basic tests that they might get from their GP can tell so much about what's going on with their health and with their, with their body function. So I do like to start with that. But I think the biggest thing that I think is really important about naturopathy is listening to what the client tells you, and really building that rapport. And that's what I think probably the primary place that I start, and then I build in that, look at what else supports that story, and the blood tests are a part of that. But then, just listening to what they say is huge, because people know what's going on with their health. And if I remember back to the days when, I was looking for some support when I'd go to see the doctor and try and get some answers to what I was going through, I think the biggest thing was that I felt I wasn't being listened to. And so going and studying to be a naturopath, that's what I felt was so important, that suddenly, you've got someone who's listening to you, and you feel like you can have some control over your health, And so that's sort of how I run a consult. And then I often build a mind map, which, can really put in place what's going on, and build those links between things, because, we know that so much of our health is all related. If you're having gut symptoms, you're often having, anxiety or other things are often linked to it. So building a mind map can help to bring all of that to life as well.
Yeah, and such a, the mind body is so integrated now, and everyone's starting to realize what we've sort of known for a while. But it's how to, that mindfulness getting in, and so getting all those different aspects of our health to really come together in order to piece that holistic care.
So important,
And so with your sort of treatments, how do you approach a person? Are you sort of looking at their diet first? Are you doing herbs? Like you said, you like to get those functional tests. So sort of what will you do in interim between the test results coming back? How do you sort of approach that in your practice?
Yeah, that's a good question, because some people will bring in blood tests, and so you'll have that in front of you, and you can design a more specific treatment plan. But if they don't, yes, I might work on that more broad sort of diet, lifestyle, and potentially some sort of general, maybe a tonic, a herbal tonic, or some support, nutritional support, like some magnesium or something like that, because realistically everyone benefits from that. And then I wait and see, what those more specific needs are. And then I find that once we sort of go into a more individualized treatment plan, as we move through that, then you sort of go back to looking at, how can we make sure that people are making long-term changes and that they feel like they're in control of the situation, so that their health improves, and they don't go backwards. So, making sure that they don't it's not just about giving them supplements and herbs. You want to make sure that there's an end point for that as well.
Yeah, and educating your clients is so important.
Absolutely.
Hey,
yes,
so they can take care of their own, grab hold of their own health.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And it is one thing that I think that like naturopaths and natural health practitioners have such an important part to play in the overall landscape, isn't it? Like it is that education. It is that, what do you eat properly for your own body? How to take in, how to look at nutrients, how to choose the right eating plan. So how do you approach that with your clients? Do you go into eating plans, or do you look at what they're eating? Or
yes, absolutely. Yes. So when they book in to see me, I ask them to give me a 24-hour recall of their diet. And then during the consult, we'll talk about that more. And often I then get them to sort of give me like a week's worth of their eating. And we sort of it's about learning to, make better choices. And it can take a while before they get on board with that, but it's really important. And as well as that, just the lifestyle stuff as well. So I have a lot of women who will come in and talk about the type of exercise they're doing, and trying to educate on making better choices and self-care and those kind of things, because it all sort of needs to work together, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so what made you really love to do women's health? Like what prompted you that? Like what grabs you about it? What keeps you interested and keeps you coming back for more? Like,
I think I guess it's because I've suffered from issues with hormones myself. I've got 2 daughters. I've just become a grandma, actually. So we've been through.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, she's beautiful. I've got a little 3-month-old granddaughter. So I've just sort of been through my daughter's pregnancy, and I just think that it's such an important area of health. And I think although there is mainstream support out there, a lot of the practitioners are just inundated and don't have a lot of time to spend with their patients. And I think that it's an area that as a naturopath I can support women to have better overall health, but also support during these really important times during their life. So it's an area that there's so much to learn. So I don't think I'll ever get sick of it.
I mean, and it's such an important, the baby and the pregnancy and everything like that. Hey, because you've got 2 lives to sort of think about when you're going through, and it's such a great area.
Yeah, and I think there's a real hole in the treatment available for women after they've had a baby. I recently listened to a webinar by a practitioner who said that a lot, we talk about post-natal, but that's actually the baby. We don't talk about post-partum, which is the mother. And, the mum goes through the pregnancy, the baby's born, and then, it's all about the baby, which is it's important, obviously, but the woman's health after that time and for that next 12 months really is absolutely vital for her health on long term, but also for subsequent pregnancies and babies as well. So it's just so important. You know?
And so what parts do you like? So what parts do you like to do? So are you looking at, like, if their milk's not coming in, you'll take a look at that, looking at how to build mum up so that she's not tired and haggard all the time, take care of her adrenals because she won't be getting much sleep. Like, what's that sort of postpartum look in terms of your practice and what you've been seeing?
Yeah, so really looking at recovery and you know, if they've had a long labour and potentially they've had blood loss, we look at how we can, you know, help with recovery with tonics. A lot of women, you know, like the idea of natural medicine, but they're unsure of what herbs might be safe for them to take while they're breastfeeding. But they're really interested in it, looking at building their nutrient levels back up again, but also just sort of helping them to navigate, you know, what services are available. You know, they might want to look at yoga or going for a massage, but they're just not sure where to go. So I can really help them to you know, put all that together and just feel like they've then someone there that they can talk to as well, because it's such a huge change in a woman's life, particularly its first baby. Then just, you know, it's almost like a bit of a shock. Suddenly you've got this little baby and you're not getting any sleep. You might be feeling quite low with your hormones. So just being able to sort of verbalize that and have someone that can support you and give you some ideas for quick meals, because obviously you don't have that time that you might have had before to cook meals. It's, you know, life's just changed so much. So I really like that I can be part of that.
Yeah. And obviously I've never had a baby because of, you know, obvious reasons, my face for one. But a lot of my friends have. And one of the things that I have noticed is they get kicked out of the hospital pretty quick.
Oh, yes.
And so I guess, like, can you talk about that? Like how that's sort of a bit of a void, isn't it? So having someone who you can actually come to and talk about that postpartum, and they can actually help you and actually fill in some of the details that they may not have, you know, here's your baby out the door, and then get them going and moving.
Absolutely. And that's a huge driver too for what I do in practice, is that these days, you know, women are just discharged, even after a C-section, discharged within a couple of days. And you're very depleted. And, you know, sleep deprived, and your nervous system's all wired, and your hormones are starting to, you know, levels are all over the place. And so, yeah, exactly. Having someone that they can talk to about that and just sort of download, I guess, and that's just so important. And then, of course, I can provide them with nutrients and, you know, those herbs that, because there are actually quite a lot of herbs that they can take that are safe during breastfeeding. So we can really offer a really, you know, well-rounded, and to complement, you know, they might be going to see their GP, and that's really important that they do. It's not sort of an instead of thing. It's part. I guess it's your healthcare team, isn't it? Being part of the team. Yeah. And
it's not like us against them. It should be that holistic, so we can work together and we can actually do what's best for the client, what's best for the patient, not you know, trying to get this ego sort of thing out of it. Hey, I mean, it's such a big thing. So do you do much with like postnatal depression and that kind of thing as well? What's your
more in terms of supporting them and building them up? Obviously, if they're feeling that depression's a concern, we can do some things to support that. You know, through nutrients and those herbs, but definitely in conjunction with what support they're getting through their GP.
Wonderful. And what about for bub themselves? Like, do you offer support and services for the little guy?
For sure, absolutely. So I think a lot of women find that they get home with this new little baby, and suddenly, you know, baby's got an upset tummy and colicky, and so there's lots of things that you can do for that. And so you know, being able to have a chat and finding some really safe solutions, because obviously mums are really hyper aware of, you know, what they're going to give to their baby is safe for the baby. So and also just in terms of, you know, there's a lot of products on the market that are designed for babies, but often babies are really hypersensitive. So just being able to find some options that, you know, might maybe for skin or for, you know, something for the bath, that's also something that I do too.
Wonderful. And so would that be like herbal remedies? I mean, obviously for the skin, sort of slightly topical, and I
Yes.
guess the advantage of a naturopath is you can up and down the doses of the herbs and that sort of stuff, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And looking at gut health as well, I mean, there's just more and more research coming to light about the role of the, well, to start with, the mother's microbiome during pregnancy and how that affects the baby. And then afterwards too, through breastfeeding, but also then in sort of giving the baby some gut support through probiotics and the specific strains that, that are needed for the baby. And then, not all probiotics do the same thing. So kind of having an understanding of that's really important as well.
Yeah, well, I was reading some research that, like C-section versus vaginal birth, that can really, really changes the baby's microbiome, doesn't it? So
yes, yeah, absolutely. And can have ongoing ramifications for their health, for the baby's health. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think sort of being aware of that, and I think a lot of mothers are now, and then being able to actually do something about it's really good.
And I think that's one of the biggest things, hey, when they're a bit like worried and they don't know what to do and everything like that, just having someone who says, it's okay, we can do this. We've been having babies for a while. We've got we've got this knowledge. We can actually start to help and give them advice and start to help them and walk them through.
Exactly. And I think that there's a lot of confusion out there these days with social media. Like they cannot read lots of information on things like Instagram, and it's not always correct, and they feel quite overwhelmed about what decisions to make. So I think that being able to come and talk to someone that they know is qualified, that they know, has, a member of a professional association like ANTA, that gives them a sense of confidence.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
And especially because, I mean, you've had children yourself and now you're a grandmother. Do you find that helps really empathize with your clients and it puts them a little bit more relaxed? It's like, well, you're walking with your talk, you're able to practice what you preach, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they understand that I understand what they're going through and, can really relate to it. So,
yeah. Definitely. It is one thing that I always had a little bit of trouble with because I try and be as empathetic and sympathetic as I can, but obviously I don't know what it feels like. So I think that's one of the big advantages, hey, is having someone who's been through it, then you can actually start to help them and we know what it feels like and really start to resonate with them. Yeah,
absolutely. And just in, this recent sort of journey of seeing my daughter go through pregnancy and being there when the baby was born, just sort of, cements it back in again, and you really realize that, it's such a huge thing.
And so was that a bit of a roller coaster ride for you, seeing your own baby have a baby? Like, what was that like?
Absolutely huge journey. So, but really exciting. And being able to support her through my, my skills as a naturopath has been so good. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. So, for the general person then, when they come in, what kind of stuff are you looking at? Are you the same sort of thing, just not so much focused on the women's health, obviously, but looking at the hormone levels, what they're at, their activity levels, their own diet, what they're doing, where they're tired.
Absolutely. Yes. So in my practice, I actually see quite a lot of men. So, same thing. We just talk about diet. We might look at, I like to look at their full blood count or their ELFT, and we can tell what's going on with their liver enzymes and their adrenal function. And just sort of, stress is often a huge thing for men. So, often I use some nutrients for that and, supporting them in that way. But I get really great results. And I actually find that men are pretty compliant too. So that's really good.
Cool, because that's not what you hear all the time.
No. I find that, I tell them, give them a treatment plan and prescribe their supplements, and they take them as they're told to, which is good. Yeah.
And so do you prescribe herbs and stuff for general, or is herbs more specific in your practice and you like more nutraceuticals? How does that sort of play out for what you do?
I tend to use both. And I really love to use liquid herbs, but a lot of people don't like the taste of them. So often I will choose a tablet instead. But some people do. They like to take, liquid herbs for whatever reason that makes them potentially feel like they're doing something that's more naturopathic or more herbal. But yeah, I usually include a herbal prescription as well as the nutraceuticals. Yeah. And like a lot of the companies now combine them, so you can often get a supplement that's got some herbs in it and some nutrients as well.
I suppose it makes it a lot easier too when you can just put the supplement on your desk and have it in the morning, or on your bathroom counter, have it in the morning as you're doing, and just and it keeps working a little bit more than having to look and draw out the prescribed amount of the herb and take it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. You've got to be really aware of where the client's at and what's going to work for them. And there's no point giving someone a liquid herbal formula if then, like you say, they're not going to take it to work with them and pour out 5 mils and have that at lunchtime, but they will take, a tablet or have a powder in some water with breakfast. So you've got to really treat the person that's in front of you. And obviously cost is a factor in that as well. And I think that, you've just got to be aware of what they're prepared to do. And sometimes where they start isn't where they finish up, that they might say they don't want to take liquid herbs, but then a couple of consults in, they will. So, you've just got to be flexible.
And I guess the other thing that I'd like to know is how much resistance do you normally get? Like, are people sort of coming to you as their last resort, or are you finding more and more people are searching you out now as sort of a bit more of a first line? And how much resistance do you have to people wanting liquid herbs versus nutraceuticals or versus, that sorts of stuff? How have you found that?
Well, I think a lot of people are coming to see natural health practitioners as a first point of contact now.
Wonderful,
I think that they feel like their GP plays an important role in their health, and they go and see their GP when they're unwell or to get particular testing done. But they want to talk about their health, and they want to look more into it, and they understand that they can do that with a natural health practitioner. So, you still do get people who have been to see, everyone under the sun, and they come to you as a last resort. But more and more I get people that, really, really seeking out natural medicine. That's what they want. And I find that majority would prefer to take a tablet and prefer to take powder than the liquid herbs, which is a bit of a shame in a way. But I suppose it's just, I think we are also quite conditioned not to dislike bitter tastes and the taste of herbs, and so that makes it a bit more difficult as well to get people to take yucky tasting medicine.
I know, right? It's such a shame because the bitter taste is so important.
So good,
I know.
It's
so amazing, but I guess it's our sweet palate that we've sort of developed over our diets and that sorts of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess when you can buy things like Vita gummies on the supermarket shelf, it's it's hard to convince them to take something that tastes terrible.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been absolutely lovely, Larissa. Where can people find you if they're looking to have a consultation with you, or want to connect, or want to catch up? Yeah, where's the best place?
Okay, so my website is larissajanenaturopathy.com. So they can head over there and they can book a consult. I'm in clinic and I also do some online consults, so fairly flexible. And I'm also on Instagram under the same name, Larissa Jane Naturopathy, and on Facebook as well under Larissa Jane Naturopathy. So pretty easy to find me. And if you'd like any more information or you want to have a bit of a chat, I've got a sort of a contact that you can fill out, and then I can reach out and provide any more information that people might want before they make a booking.
Yeah, wonderful. And where is your clinic located?
Well, I practice at a clinic called Herbs on the Hill in Woolloongabba. Yeah, so I'm there twice a week, and then online under Larissa Jane Naturopathy. Yeah, but Herbs on the Hill have a really great dispensary, so that's terrific for people that want to come in and chat with you face to face, and then you can actually, for those that are willing to take the liquid herbs, you can make them up a nice bottle, take home with them.
Personally, that's my favorite part about visiting a naturopath. I just like the weird taste, so I must be strange.
yeah. And hey, they work really well too, don't they?
Oh yeah, 100%, definitely.
Yeah.
And so that's Wollongabba in Brisbane, right?
Yes. In Brisbane. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Well, if anyone's in Brisbane or around the world and wants a consult with Larissa, please check out her Facebook and her socials and her website and get in contact with her. We'd just like to say thank you so much for coming on Therapist Spotlight, Larissa.
Thanks, Josh.
No worries. And yeah, anyone out there, contact, and we'll see you all later. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Therapist Spotlight. If you would like to know more about ANTA, visit us at www.anta.com.au.